All right. Good evening and welcome to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. I'm your host, Dionne Anglin. We have a very special guest in the studio tonight. And we will be chatting with I say former now, so sad, former Miss Cayman Islands 2023-2024, Miss Dionne Powery. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having
welcome.
me. Thank you.
It's the first time I'm having you all to myself.
I know.
Usually it's with other volleyball players and coaches. Now it's just you and I.
And you kept your word because the last time I came on, you said we were going to have this moment.
I have to have this moment, right?
Thank you.
So Miss Dionne recently passed on her crown to the new Miss Universe Cayman Islands, another top athlete, which we'll be talking about as well, and an Olympian at that, Reagan Rutty. Mm-hmm. Congratulations to her. Mm-hmm. However, in addition to Dionne's accomplishments in pageantry, she's also a top athlete, excelling in national volleyball, beach volleyball. Yes, awesome. So we'll get to all that and more. In the second segment, we'll hear from Cayman Gulf with some of our athletes that recently came back from the Caribbean Amateur Golf Championships. All right, so stay tuned for that. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, Savannah Pharmacy and Countryside.
Hey, Mom and Dad. School is nearly back in session. Is your child ready for the school year? Stop by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village and pick up all your child's stationery supplies. You won't need to break the bank to get your little one prepared for the school year. You have enough to worry about. Make back to school a breeze with Savannah Pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336. Savannah Pharmacy supports your education in our small community. That's why the first 20 customers will receive a free fully stocked school bag. Savannah Pharmacy. We love our community.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
The 7 a.m. Sports Report, brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. And if you're just tuning in, you missed out on the intro. We have the one and only Miss Dionne Powery, former Miss Universe Cayman Islands, here with us.
Yes, good evening, Cayman.
All right, wonderful. So you, and for those of you who are not aware, Dionne's also a top athlete in our country. She's a beach volleyball player. We've been to island games together, and that's it.
And that's it.
That's it for me.
I was waiting for you to unravel. I was like, where are we going?
That's it for me. But you've been to like 19 different tournaments in 11 countries or something like that. So that's amazing, an amazing accomplishment for you. Right. So now that you've obviously taken a break from volleyball for that year that you reigned, was that something that you had to do, or because of the strenuous schedule, or is it something that's, the protocol for Miss Cayman Islands?
Right. So I actually did travel once as queen.
Okay,
so I did get to, and I still kind of trained here and there.
Did you take your crown with you?
I did not. No.
Okay.
But surprisingly, when I did travel to compete, the people in Dominican Republic, a handful of them came up to me and said, "You were Miss Universe." And I'm here thinking, like, somebody told you. He's like, "No, I saw you on TV." So that was a very special moment.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I did travel to compete as queen, and then I trained here and there, but it wasn't as consistent as I wanted, of course, because, the schedule is busy for pageantry, and it was a sacrifice, to answer your question, that you just had to make. And for me, I knew that being Miss Cayman and becoming Miss Cayman was the goal, was the vision.
Yes.
And I just said volleyball will always be there, and I'll come back, God's willing, and I'll play again. So right now, my mind is still, in my heart, is still with volleyball, but I have interest in another sport. Not even other things, another sport.
Oh, okay.
And I'm interested in giving it a try. I'm not going to speak on it.
Pickleball?
Girl, no.
That's everybody's
I mean,
sport
I play
now.
for fun, recreationally, so no disrespect to pickleball.
Oh, of course, I play
yes,
too.
but I mean, like, professionally,
Yeah.
I have interest in another potential sport that I've
Okay.
been wanting to try from the time I was really little.
Okay.
And I put it aside, and so I'm tapping back into it now that I'm in this space of wanting to try new things.
She just killed the entire interview.
Oh my goodness!
No, she's not. We can't talk about volleyball no
talk
more.
about it.
And she don't
No.
want. And she doesn't want to release the information of what sport she's trying. So my interview is done. Good
No,
night,
it's
everyone.
not. No, it's not. Oh my goodness.
Well, tell us, how was your reign?
It was honestly amazing, and I'll sound like a broken record, but it's my story, it's my truth. It was
Yes.
truly a prayer come true, a
Yes.
vision come true,
Yes.
and I got to live out what I envisioned my role to be like for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that included visiting a lot of schools. In fact, not a lot of schools, all the schools in Cayman. I was just short of a handful. And, I reached out to all schools, not all got back to me. And so I really was hoping to get that accomplished. But I said, you know what? Even when I'm not officially queen, I'm already making plans to go back into those schools that I didn't get to go
still
to.
speak with them.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So I'm just grateful that I got to pretty much get that goal almost accomplished.
I like that.
And the connections that I made are something that I'll never, they're all pivotal and all important for whatever area I'm going to get into in life, and I'm so grateful for those connections that were made through pageantry. So overall, it was a really amazing year, and like I said in the last interview, I'm looking forward to seeing what this new queen does.
Right.
And it's really about growth and elevation. And if you have a vision and you set that and you put that in place, this journey is going to be so amazing for you.
Yeah. Also, you know what? That leads to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel, or how does it feel to pass on the crown to Regan Ruddy?
Yes.
She's an accomplished Olympian. So what advice would you give her as she embarks on her journey as Miss Cayman Islands?
So to answer your the first part of your question, I would say it was bittersweet.
Yeah.
And it was bittersweet initially.
It's bittersweet for all queens that give up the crown.
You think so?
It is. Most that I've spoken to have said that.
Yeah, why I say that is because a lot of queens that I've spoken to in my sisterhood that I've made throughout this journey,
Okay.
a lot of them, or a few of them, said they were looking forward to giving the crown up. And I was like, you know what? Because fair enough, because I've heard the stories that the things they had to endure during their reign. I didn't have to experience that, thankfully.
yeah.
So some of them were like, thank you, Lord, I get to hand this over.
Right.
But for me and for a lot of other queens that you would have
Here.
heard from,
Yeah.
it is very much so bittersweet. And I did have an emotional attachment to it because I loved it before I was it.
Yeah.
And so to have to hand it over, it's like, no, this is mine. I
Yeah.
feel like, territorial almost, so to speak.
Right.
But I prayed to God very often that he would take away any bitterness, any envy, any jealousy, anything of that nature, because I want to be here for the next queen.
Right.
And yes, it was my title, but everything comes to an end. Now it's hers.
Right.
And I will forever be a Miss Universe Cayman Islands, but it's now somebody else's time to
shine.
take that shine, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to seeing where I can contribute in her journey and to just make it better for her as well. I've done things that no one would know about before I gave up that crown that would help the next queens and future contestants.
Have you gotten a chance to speak with her and give her any advice?
Yes. She did reach out to me, and I checked in with all the contestants as well that competed with her, but she did reach out, and we're having plans for her to meet and
A
do
little
stuff.
breakfast, you know?
Yeah, a little something somewhere. But I do want to continue that relationship. I don't want it to be where, like, for me, I didn't really have a good sisterhood experience in my pageant journey. And I don't want to be that for her. I want to be someone that she's like, I'm looking forward to connecting with Ilian and building a sisterhood, because who better than to teach you than someone who was there before you and who
Right.
helped kind of pave that way, basically. So
you were looking forward to that past queen to come to you and give you advice as
yeah,
well.
just in general, not
Yeah.
just specifically the one before me, but just
Right.
in general, and just feeling like truly supported.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I got that all the way through in many
Right.
cases. And so I don't want to be that queen that does that. I want her to feel like I can trust Ilian. I can depend on her. She's there for me genuinely.
Right.
And to kind of close off your question, like I said, it was bittersweet, but on that night, I prayed over and over up until that point for God's peace.
Yes.
And when I finally got on that stage, it was there. I was expecting to bawl my eyes out when
And you
walking.
didn't.
No, but listen.
You didn't, but I did.
You did. A lot of people
I
said they
did,
cried.
because her exiting speech was so beautiful, and
Thank
I know
you.
I said this to you on social media
Yes.
and in person, but I'm going to tell all of the Cayman Islands as well. It was very beautiful.
Thank you.
Especially the little part with your sister.
Right.
And I can relate to it. I do not have sisters, but I've seen your journey with your sister through flag football. We were on the same team together. Hey, great, that's another sport.
I know.
That we played together.
Yes.
So, that just seeing your bond there, everything you said was true and honest, and I appreciated that. I loved that. And I knew she was crying as well.
Oh, she did the balling that I didn't do. And she's listening now, so love you, Ivana.
That was really, really wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
That was good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, how did your experience, I should ask, how did your experience as Miss Cayman, Miss Universe Cayman Islands, influence your perspective on sports and competition?
I think it was an easier transition, and I know you brought up Reagan earlier being an athlete as well. So for her, I can see where that transition into preparation in terms of competing, just all the different things that make up pageantry and sports kind of connected and made it an easier blend. And so just like her, for myself, I found that transition to be easy. Okay. And I did make a list, like I kind of told you off air, of things that I just really wanted people to know and understand. You might hear it and think, oh, well, duh, that makes sense. But initially, you might not think of these connections between sports and pageantry. So can I list a few?
Of course.
Okay, so one of the first ones I have is that in sports, you're amongst your teammates. And for pageantry, that might look like your village. So for me, that would be my sister or any stylist that you may have, makeup artist, whatever it is, right? Your village, your supporters, your team. And for sports, like I said, that's your teammates itself versus your opponents. In pageantry, ultimately, it's a competition.
Right.
So your sisters, your pageant sisters, are still your competitors.
Right.
So you get that feeling in both areas.
Yeah. Because it's the same thing on the court, right? Because even though you're teammates, you're still fighting for position as well.
Exactly. Right. So that's the one I have. That's the first one I have. The other one is losing games versus, in this case, not taking away the crown. Because ultimately, that's the one thing you want to gain that night is that crown. And you feel as if you lost if you don't take away the crown, which is not true. But just connecting it to sports, you either win the medal, the gold medal, or you don't. Right. And so for that night, it's the crown. Okay. And then obviously the vice versa, the opposite would be actually winning it, right? Or winning that match. Okay. Another thing would be being in front of a big crowd when you're competing. So for us, that looks like in pageantry, being on that final night in front of a huge crowd, or in cases of appearances, you have crowds that will be there as well. Right. So in games, you'll compete in a stadium or something. For us, it's not a stadium here, but at Miss Universe, it would be a stadium. Right. So that's the connection there between crowd. And one more, I don't want to go through all of them right now, but another one is feeling lost and unprepared. Okay. You will feel that, or might feel that in pageantry, just like you will in sports, where you feel at moments like maybe I'm not ready for this game, or I haven't done enough like what I thought. So in pageantry, for me, on my final night in Cayman, I felt very unprepared. So I think that people don't realize that does happen a lot too, just like in sports. So.
I've also met a few queens who have said, I was hoping they didn't call my name.
Really? Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely.
When no lies. They won and they said, I was hoping they did call my name. Yeah, what? But she was one of the most beautiful queens as well, but I think it was just her nerves talking. Yeah. Just like you said, you have doubt, right?
Right.
Like, how am I going to do this?
Yes.
I don't think I can do this.
Imposter syndrome kicks in.
Can I go in front of all these people and speak? Can I look beautiful all the time? Yeah. I have to be prepared every time I step out the door. Can I do this? So I think that's what she was referring to, because throughout her reign, she did great.
Phenomenal.
She was one of those I was very happy to give it up.
No, I know. But definitely agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so can you share like a memorable moment from your time as Miss Universe Cayman Islands and at the pageant?
The national pageant or Miss International?
The international pageant.
Oh my, there's so many options. Okay, favorite moment. Locally, I think I'll just have to give it to the schools again.
Yes.
Is visiting and making an impact, knowing that I just wasn't an external queen, but an internal, meaning that I got to connect with people and share what I had in here, not just out here. Right. So I think that would be forever something that I'm like, that was a shining moment for me.
Beautiful.
And then internationally, I think, I don't know, the whole thing, like, it is literally like a dream when you're at Miss Universe. Even here at the national pageant, you're like, this is surreal.
Yes.
And so at Miss Universe, it's like you're in front of thousands, millions, and then just the whole process of feeling like you're around paparazzi all the time, and your name of country being called, and you're followed. It's another experience that I can't explain.
And then you're also seen by millions on camera, right?
Right.
So that's a lot of pressure there as well.
Yeah, I guess just being on the stage that final night, just to choose one, I'll say the final night, then just getting to call Cayman's name and my name in front of the whole world, the whole universe, and knowing that I got to like be the map of Cayman on that night. So yeah, I don't know. That's not my final answer. I'm just gonna give one just so we can have one moment.
That's fine. That's fine. So Ilian, how are you going to transition back into competitive sports? Because this may not be beach volleyball as we heard earlier.
Don't say it like that.
So how are you going to transition back into sports now after your break?
So that looks like just gradual introduction to it again, meaning just going out to trainings.
You can't run with your hands like this. You have to, because you have
listen,
to leave Queen behind.
I'll grab the ball and do a turn and look at her and be like, "Are you the judge?" And I'll be like, "Oh my goodness, you imagine?" But everything feels like you're like, when I walk now, it's like I want to run away every time.
Yes,
so you're so right with that. But no, I think just gradually getting back by just going to trainings, whether it's once a week, twice a week, just kind of kind of weaning myself back in is what that will look like. And like I said, with this new sport, I'm not sure yet. Okay. I have to actually start and see how it is. Are you sure
you can't tell us the sport?
Can I read my other No. No. Because I want to make sure for myself before I put anything out there.
Okay, all right, fine. You can tell me off here.
Who said that?
So what are some of the biggest challenges you anticipate facing as you return to sports?
I think maybe just the fitness aspect of it. Although I remained active in the gym, there's nothing like being on that sand for beach volleyball in this case.
Yes.
So I think it's really cleaning that up and getting my body comfortable in that space again and on that texture again.
Yes.
So for beach volleyball it's that. For the other sport now, no sand, but still fitness.
And it's not basketball, so we clear that up.
It's not basketball.
Yeah. So that's
Watch her digging, you're digging. You think you're smart? Reverse psychology on me? Nope.
So you mentioned fitness, which is really cool because that's my next question. How did you maintain your fitness throughout your journey?
I have been in the gym pretty much every other day, if not every day. And then I have days where I do slack off.
You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I do try to remain consistent. However, there were times where I went weeks, and that's the first time in my life that I ever went so long. And that just goes to show how mental health is so important. So you asked me about physical health, but the mental health aspect of it is something that pulled me away. And it was like, it felt hard to get into the gym at one point.
Yes.
And so I just really try to fight that feeling when it does hit hard so that I get the right hormones flowing in me that allows me to feel better. Because after the gym, like most people will say, you feel better, you feel more alert, you feel more alive. So I just try to remain consistent with that. I'm a morning too, but some people like evenings. Some people like evenings, so it's up to your body really. But I do agree with the morning. But I just try to remain consistent with that and go several times a week, and at least an hour max is what I try to do. I believe in quality over quantity. Some people stay in the gym for 2 hours and all they do is talk to other people. I see it all the time
and
when I go.
Sit in the machine and take up
sit in the machine and be on their phone. So I try to be very intentional with that. And definitely diet too.
Okay, and what about any advice for young athletes? And I know you said you spoke to a lot of kids in the schools. So any advice on athletes, to young athletes, I should say, who aspire to balance multiple passions just like you have? Yeah.
For me, it can look like scheduling. So creating a schedule for yourself and mapping out specific times of the day for different things. And like I said just now, my other answer, intentionality, just being very purposeful and like knowing this needs to be done at this time. Okay, when that's done, it's on to the next. And just being disciplined in that way. And maybe using whatever end goal you have as your motivation. So whether it's like you want to be in the Olympics or maybe you want to go to whatever big event that's in your sport, keep that as your goal, dangling over your head and reminding you why you need to be consistent and disciplined and motivated. So I would say those are some of the things that definitely help. And
Did sports or how did sports help you in your pageant journey?
So for me, definitely physique wise was one of the things, but then the internal fitness was there as well. I feel like for me, walking in heels was a lot of sucking this core in and keeping up and being strong in that area. So I got to really transfer that from sports into this.
Right.
And then just like I said, the discipline as well, knowing that we have back-to-back events or different appearances, whatever it is, scheduling and being intentional with that and reminding myself you need to try to go sleep early tonight, although I struggle with that. But yeah, trying to be on time with sleep or getting meals at the right time and just being very aware of those things. So I had to do that in sports, and then I just transferred it into pageantry.
What would you say was your most challenging moment in the local competition itself, when the night you won, and also the international one?
For me, it was both. Or for me, it was the same thing.
Okay.
I felt lost. I felt unprepared when it came to the runway stuff, the runway area. For me, that was...
Is that just the walking or...
Well, not necessarily the walking aspect of it, but the turns and the poses within, like, and finding a routine. I always felt so... Like I said, lost is the best adjective I can use. I always felt like I didn't know which way to look, or I didn't feel coordinated sometimes. And it's like, Ileana, I know you can dance, you got rhythm, so why you can't figure it out in the runway?
It's totally different.
It's totally different. And so for me, I struggled with that here. And then when I went to Miss Universe, but I said, God, you took me all the way through from the beginning. You'll take me now. And
didn't look like it.
But it sure felt like it. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
but
you did well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I say this to people who know me closest, is it frustrates me that I feel like when I came back from Miss Universe, I knew how to walk better. I knew how to turn better. I knew how to do all the things. And it was
that's
like...
what experiences.
I know, but it was like, why weren't you present at Miss Universe? Like, the stage presence came alive after I came out from Miss Universe. But I always say, I'm glad that she's here now.
Could have been nerves.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it could have been nerves.
Yeah.
All right. So you, like we mentioned, you competed in 19 tournaments across 11 countries. How do you handle the pressure of competing at a national and international level in both pageantry and sports?
I think the national crowd is a harder crowd for me, because I know that those are people that I know for
That's
sure.
Gonna judge you even harder, I think.
Well, not even that they're going to judge me. I feel more guilty if I disappoint.
Right. Okay.
They're right there.
Very good point.
And so it's like, oh my, I feel so ashamed that if I mess up. However, I feel internationally, you don't know really anyone. So it's kind of like you're just in a room with strangers. There's still a pressure, but it's not as intense.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a teammate who always used to say she thrived off of being in the local, like having a local crowd. And I used to look at her like, you are...
I am similar to you. I would
You feel like that too?
Yes, I would rather perform internationally than locally.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel more pressure at home.
Yes.
And so I always wonder why there's home court advantage.
Yes,
and I'm like, how is it you can't perform? Like, come on, but everyone's different, and I know that, but it's just sometimes really difficult for me to comprehend, because I can do it so well. I can compete. I tune out the noise. That's a gift.
I don't really have that gift yet.
Yeah, not everybody can tune out the noise.
Yes.
I can tune out the noise. I wouldn't hear a thing that person is saying in the stands. At home, I would... if I hear a familiar voice, I'll take that pressure on. Yes. So I'd rather compete internationally.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And I think for the second part where you said about you just zone out, you tune everything out, I haven't reached there yet. Right. That's a superpower, I think. So you need to be very grateful for that. But yeah, this girl that I used to play with, she said she thrived in that area. For me, it's the opposite. But to each is their own. But as I'm developing and growing, I'm trying to speak more confidently to myself, even though I always did that, but even more so Ileana, okay, you mess up, so what?
Right.
You're out here, are they out here? Yeah. No, you kind of have to tell yourself those things to kind of build that confidence. So I'm working on it. I'm not perfect.
Yeah. And it's kind of like being out there. It's an individual sport, right?
Yes.
Because it's you alone representing you. You're that ambassador for the Cayman Islands. So that is a lot of pressure as well.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. So now you know how individual, those athletes in track and field and swimming field, even boxing and those sports where they have to be you think they're arrogant and they have to be really cocky. A lot of times they're very humble behind closed doors.
That's so true.
But they have to build that energy and that confidence to face the competition. So
that's very true.
They have no one to rely on. I played basketball all my life. I could blame my teammate when I mess up.
That part. And
You have no one to blame.
Guess what? You're getting closer to the sport.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
keep saying stuff that's closer to the sport. It's hints. You're giving hints without even knowing.
Netball.
Oh, definitely not. That was my least favorite sport from the time I was in primary school.
Miss Lucille is listening.
I'm
Stop
sorry,
it.
Miss Lucille. I love it for you, not for me. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So what has been the most rewarding aspect of representing the Cayman Islands in both pageantry and sports for you?
For pageantry, I think because it was my goal, my dream, my vision, and being able to say that I achieved it through God, I was able to achieve it. It's like, how can you even, I don't think words can really express that. To put something in writing, to have a dream here and for it to manifest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just it happening was the ultimate thing, right? And then for sports, repeat the question to make sure I'm not missing.
No, that's fine. What has been the most rewarding aspect?
Rewarding, right?
Yeah.
For sports, and I just think the reward itself is being able to carry a flag and represent Cayman.
Oh, yes,
I think
beautiful.
that's always it for me. I would say one thing that's kind of contrary to your question that I want to add is I want to see where Cayman gets to a point where, yes, we're so happy to represent, but I want to see where we compete now.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who told me that. That was such a powerful thing where they said, yeah, well, we always representing. When are we ever going to compete? And that was in the pageant world as well as sporting world, where it's like, I want to take it to that point where we have people out here representing us that are actually like medaling and winning the ultimate crown.
I usually tell every coach that sit here is that we don't want to participate anymore. We want to compete. And that's very important. We tend to mix up those two words.
Very
Competing
true.
is very different from participating.
Yep.
I can attend something
Yes.
and participating.
Yes.
But if I'm not competing,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's very, and I how happy were you for Jordan Crooks?
I got chills when you said his name.
Me too.
I honestly,
We're athletes. That's why.
I know,
Yeah,
and then just so proud to be from here and to know he's from the soil, one of
Yeah.
us. It's just different. It's a different feeling, and the Olympics is the top
It's
thing,
the
right?
pinnacle.
It's the
Yeah.
pinnacle,
Yeah.
and so just so proud of him. If he's listening, Jordan, shout out to you and all the other Cayman athletes that were, at the Olympics. It was just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
And how do you stay motivated and inspired, of course, to excel in both your athletic and personal endeavors?
For me, the motivation comes in knowing that I always want to be better.
Right.
I just want to always be better, and not better than anyone else, but better than myself. I think just keeping the goal on, it sounds selfish, but keeping the goal on me and knowing that God created me to be more.
You're
and
single.
so
You're single. You're not married. It's not
why
selfish.
you had to throw that out there? Suppose I have someone.
I know you're not married.
Oh, single in that way.
That
Okay.
way, yeah. And
right.
you have every right to be as selfish as you want to be
Yes.
right now.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Thank you, Dionne.
You're very welcome. Take care of you.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a good, for anyone listening, that's a serious point. But I think just, like I said, just wanting to always elevate and to be better than me is really what motivates me. So I know that there's many gifts and skills that I was given that many people would love to have, and just using that as my force to keep moving and keep growing and just to keep thriving. So that definitely helps.
My last question, what initiatives or causes were you passionate about? Because you all obviously had a platform,
Right.
and how do you plan to continue advocating them? Apart from the schools, and I know you said you wanted to go into the schools, but what was your platform initially?
So I had two. So the
Okay.
pageant platform was United Against Bullying.
Okay.
And then my personal was Protecting and Preserving Caymanian Culture and Heritage.
Right.
So for the pageant platform, that's where I got to go into the schools, to a church, and had some inquiries about workplaces to speak there as well. So that was the major thing that I focused on. Initially, I wanted to focus on speaking about the different aspects of who I was so that people could truly relate or feel like, I see myself in her in that way through sports or through being a spokesperson or a photographer or whatever. So I briefly would cover that in presentations, but the majority of it was talking about bullying because I felt that was more pressing to talk about. Not that those other things that I said wasn't, but bullying is something that can't be ignored. And I had the opportunity for a year to truly hone in on it. So I said, let me put the focus on bullying. And for my personal platform, I kind of took that creative freedom and did different projects on my own. So I do photography and videography.
Right, yes.
And so I used that as well to help push the other things that I had in mind, which was like Caymanian words and Caymanians doing it. So I just kind of dabbled into a lot of things in that way with both platforms.
I'm going to say this again before we go.
Okay.
why bullying? Were you bullied as a child?
I wasn't bullied as a child, and let me answer the why. So Miss Universe Cayman Islands organization will always choose a platform each year. So that was the selected one for our group. However, my personal platform was my choice.
Okay, gotcha.
But I wasn't bullied as a child, and I always tell students or whoever asks whenever I present is that I was not bullied, but I was a voice that spoke up for myself, but for others as well. And I didn't realize that I did that until I became queen and doing these presentations. Or like, you know, when I was out in the streets or just doing anything and I see someone saying something mean to somebody or doing something harmful, I would usually be like, why are you doing that? Like, what's the purpose?
Yes.
And I didn't realize that from a young age I was like that. And so one of the things I always push to the students, is just use your voice to speak up for others. So that's where that came in. And before we go out, I want to end one more thing, please.
Sure.
So a big connection between sports and pageantry that I learned was about post-game or post-pageant depression.
Okay. Very important.
Yes. And so when I came back from Miss Universe, I definitely had that post-pageant depression that you might hear. I don't know if you heard about it before, but some people might have heard about it. And that just basically looks like feeling really down, feeling really empty, feeling alone. And, you know, you went from 2 weeks of living a fast-paced life with your sisters all day long to being alone again. And maybe some people might have people that'll fill that gap, but there's nothing like that experience.
Gotcha.
And so in sports, for me, that also looked like coming from a competition and feeling like, what is there to do now? Like when I came back from Pan Am Games or Island Games, it's like you went from being around all these other athletes, they were your friends, and then you come home and it's like, it's changed. So I saw that connection as well. The
awesome.
post game and pageant depression.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We could have done this for an hour, huh?
I know. What time is it? Let's push.
It's time for golf.
I know.
Thank you so much, Ilian. I appreciate you. And I hope that there were young people listening and athletes that were tuning in to hear your words of wisdom, right? And you shared your experience, and I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
You did a fantastic job. Your reign was incredible. I saw you out there in the community. I saw how much you were pushing. You are appreciated and loved.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right, so we're going to take a break here. Word from our sponsor, Savannah Pharmacy Countryside. And we'll be right back with Cayman Golf. Stay tuned.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. 89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Follow Radio Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
The 6:15 Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra, and we're in the studio with some fine gentlemen. And to my right, I'll have you guys introduce yourselves. So I'm going to start to my right.
Kevin Hinton, PGA coach for Cayman Islands.
Okay.
Daniel Fortune, president of the Cayman Islands Golf Association.
Awesome.
And I'm Giles Hobday. I'm tournament director of the Cayman Islands Golf Association and player captain of the men's national team.
Awesome. So you also represented Cayman at the recent Caribbean Golf Tournament.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So what was that experience like?
Oh, it was great. It was my third time going.
Okay.
My first one was Turks and Caicos 3 years ago. Then we had Tobago a year ago, and then this year we were in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. Very good tournament, very hot, but it was a well-organized event and a very good experience overall. It's a great Caribbean event. So just to kind of give people some background as to what it is. It's a Caribbean amateur golf tournament. We have 9 participating countries normally. There's a men's individual competition, ladies individual competition, and then men's and ladies team competitions as well. There's about 50 men golfers and about 24 lady golfers.
Okay.
And they compete every year at a different host country. And that's kind of the summary of it.
What was the competition like this year?
It was very high, So traditionally, there's some powerhouses in the Caribbean as it comes to golf. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic are large countries and very good infrastructure in terms of golf, and they tend to be kind of the top of the pile. Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago are very strong as well, but Cayman punches above its weight, especially for kind of the number of people we have here and the infrastructure that we have here. We produce a lot of very good golfers for an island of our size.
We definitely do. Yeah. So you mentioned that it was hot. Was it hotter than Cayman?
Yes, I think it was. I was actually speaking
it's hot here.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was speaking to a girl from Dominican Republic, and she was visiting here, and she said, "Oh yeah, Dominican Republic's definitely really warmer there. It's just a different type of heat." So, it was a battle, and it's the middle of summer when we play every year, so it's normally pretty hot, but particularly hot this year.
Alrighty, and coach, and you were there as well.
Correct,
and how did you prepare the team for this tournament? Did you prepare the team? You were the coach that did?
I tried to.
You tried to? All right. They did pretty well. So what was that like?
Well, we started before the tournament. Obviously, that's the key. We've had we're lucky enough to have, we won it in 2018 here. Yes. So we've had a lot of good players come through. But yeah, we started coaching early, this year, earlier than we had before. And most of the guys always step up. They give us 100%. It was good.
It was due. For those of you who aren't aware, the men's team included Aaron Jarvis, the Aaron Jarvis. You can't leave the D off, right? Andrew Jarvis, Mr. Hubday himself, Daniel DeQuintal.
Yes.
Okay. Luke Colborn and Adrian Cochran. And they finished 6th place of 9 teams in the team event, while the women's team of Holly McLean and Isabel Mendez finished 6th place of 7 teams. However, in the individual event, Holly, the 2-time defending women's champion and top-performing Cayman competitor in the women's division, finished 5th, and Aaron finished in 18th as the top-performing Cayman competitors in the men's division, right? Okay, is this the same tournament Aaron won 2 years ago?
Oh no! So
this one is different from that.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the Latin American
Amateur
Championship.
That's right. Okay, thank you for jogging my memory. There,
absolutely no problem. Similar, but involving the entire Latin American region, which includes the Central American region, South American region, and the Caribbean. So a lot more countries involved, a lot bigger tournament, and a lot more at stake with invitations to the Masters tournament, the Open Championship, and I believe from this last year, the US Open as well. So a much bigger tournament, but the Caribbean forms part of that, and the kind of Caribbean Amateur is the Caribbean version of that tournament. So a little bit smaller, but kind of the top event in the Caribbean.
Awesome. And Mr. President, what are the thoughts on the team's performance?
Yeah, look, I mean, every year, the competition is getting tougher and tougher. And I think the players are getting younger and younger as well. And I think that also makes it very tough. But, I think the guys and the girls always, represent Cayman exceptionally well when they go abroad. Always give it their all, and we can never have any kind of complaints about the the efforts that are put in. As Kevin mentioned, like in 2018 when we last held the event, we actually did win it as well, and that was a fantastic week, I have to say. And we haven't quite reached those heights as a team since. But, we've definitely got some strong players in there, and we've got a couple of, younger players coming through as well, which definitely bodes well for the future,
All right, and Mr. Daniel, how do you see this tournament and other international tournaments impacting the future of golf here in the Cayman Islands?
Yeah, I mean, it can only help, grow the interest in the game. I think, as you mentioned there, in 2022 when Aaron, the Aaron Jarvis,
don't forget
won the Latin American Amateur which was actually in Dominican Republic as well, 2 years ago. That sparked a huge interest in golf. One of the biggest challenges that we have as an association these days is actually getting space on golf courses because there is so much interest for people to play, and that's a good sort of it's kind of a good problem to have, But I think players here, it's a small island. May not have been an awful lot of expectations in the past,
right?
But I think we are seeing, with what we did in 2018, with the performance that Aaron put in when he won in 2022, and even I would say this year's Latin American Amateur Championship down in Panama, where we had 2 players in the top 5.
Yes.
We had Justin Hastings, who finished 4th, and
who is amazing, by the way. Yeah.
Yes,
also amazing,
exceptional. He's now up to number 41 in the World Amateur Golf Rankings, which is
That's huge.
Quite frankly, it's
people hear the word 41 and they're like 41, but that is huge because how many countries are there?
That's the number.
That's the world globally.
That's world. Yeah. That's huge. 41 is huge.
Quite frankly, that coming from an island like this with 27 holes of golf, that's it's almost ridiculous for to be that high.
I think so too.
And it's an exceptional achievement. Andrew Jarvis, also finished in a tie for 5th in Panama, in the Latin American. So, all of those results on an international scale, particularly the Latin American Amateur, which is a huge event. It's televised live on ESPN, and that garners an awful lot of interest. And that's where the young players can then see, well, we're not just playing around with our own friends here. We can actually, get to higher places with the game.
Awesome. So, and Coach, I'll go back to Coach. What were some of the key areas of focus during training sessions that led to this tournament?
Well, everyone's trying to get that extra 10%.
Yeah.
They're all good players. Everyone who gets picked for the national team is not a bad golfer. Right. So we just try and, if we can, squeeze whatever we can out of that little 10%, being honest, improving on where they feel the weaknesses are, and work hard.
Awesome.
And believe, because that's a big thing.
How long have you been the coach here in Cayman?
I've been the national team coach for 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and how's that journey been for you?
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been playing?
Also 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
And what brought you to golf?
I've played golf my whole life.
Yeah, okay.
It was a family sport. My family was big into golf, I think, since my grandfather, and it's kind of been handed down generation to generation. So that's how I got into it. And I'm a professional accountant now, but I find the time to play golf. And it's a great sport. It really is. And it's so fulfilling to see all these young kids getting involved in golf, and remarkable some of the youngsters coming through, whether it's Justin or Aaron or Holly, it's just fantastic and really, really good to see.
Okay, sounds good. And what initiatives are in place, Mr. Daniel, to support the development of the golf talent that we have here in Cayman?
Yeah, so I suppose we have kind of a couple of different pillars, if you like, for the association. There's the promotion of the game, and so we try and do that as much as we possibly can through our social media outlets.
Nicole is doing a very good job as well.
Exactly, yes. Nicole at Grant Thornton, she does an exceptional job. Assists us with some of our press releases and stuff like that as well. So the promotion of what we're doing, what's going on. A few years ago there wouldn't have been an awful lot. Now it's almost difficult to keep up with everything that's going on, with all our players that are all around. And then there's just the development of golfers, particularly young players, but that also extends to other players just kind of taking up the game as well. But certainly, we see some of the successes that we've had, and the development of more and more young players to come in and sort of almost replace some of those guys, because we're now in a situation where some of our top amateurs are so good that they might end up no longer being amateur and they might turn professional.
Right.
So we will need some of the younger players to come in and fill the voids.
Which is what I thought Aaron would do. Is he too young?
He's not too young, no. He himself and Justin are both in their final year at university. Okay. So next year will potentially be something for them to think about. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And how important, I see you're wearing the Grant Thornton shirt. So how important is the support from sponsors like Grant Thornton?
It is very important.
Yeah.
Look, Grant Thornton have been very generous to us.
Always. Since I've been doing sports here, it's been Grant Thornton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, I mean, obviously they're involved with golf. That's it. Yeah. They're obviously involved with golf, but they're involved with the rugby.
Rugby as well.
With,
yes.
The Gaelic as well. Mm-hmm. So they're involved in an awful lot of other sports as well. But certainly, I mean, they have. They've been our title sponsor for the last couple of years. And the support and assistance that we get from the team there has been huge indeed. So huge shout out to those guys.
Awesome. What were some of the key takeaways from this tournament you think that would help in future preparations? Given the fact that I wasn't at the tournament, maybe I'll hand it over. Oh, sure, you can hand it over. That's fine. I thought you were at the tournament.
I wasn't at this one. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think every year, we learn something different. And it's just a way.
So soft spoken. Are you always this?
Sorry,
I know you're not soft spoken on that golf pitch.
I was just saying. Every year you learn something different. And we get new players coming through and they get the opportunity to experience a slightly higher level of competition than they normally would. So it's kind of that process of developing the game. It's just that next step up. And we as a committee, we get more organized every year, whether it's the ordering of the kit, whether it's the transportation. There's a whole bunch of logistics that go into actually putting the team together and getting them there. So every year we get a little bit more experienced and a bit more organized, and especially when it comes to the young players, that is really, for them it's kind of the peak of what they would have seen leading up until this point, and it gives them a chance to really kick on and see if it's something that they want to take a bit more seriously going into the future, and that stepping stone to potentially getting into college golf in the US or something like that. That's it's just a very very positive thing for the entire region.
I guess I can call you Coach Giles. So how do you balance being both a player and a coach?
I would put my sort of category as the captain, I suppose. But between Kevin and myself, we kind of work as a team to get everyone organized and make sure that we're as prepared as we possibly can be, and that everyone gets on that plane to get to wherever they need to be. Yeah. I think it might be a slight distraction, but also. It's good to know that we're on top of things, and that it takes a lot of pressure off the other players knowing that we've got everything organized for them and they can just show up and play golf. So I like that side of it.
And what sort of strategies do you use to improve your own game while coaching others?
Maybe Kevin can talk to that as the coach. I don't really coach other players. I would just kind of be there to facilitate the coaching program, I guess, help with the communication around that, actually be there to be there on the day and make sure everyone knows what's going on. It's very rewarding. I think the players that do make the team benefit a lot from the coaching program, and everyone becomes a better golfer from it, even if maybe it doesn't seem like golf's a kind of complicated game sometimes. Sometimes you take a few hard knocks.
For me it is.
But you're always learning something, and these opportunities give you a chance to see where your game's really at and what you need to go away and work on at the very least. It's a kind of it's always a work in progress. You're always trying to get better, and this is a place where you can actually test yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to take a short break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside. We'll be right back.
Hey, Mom and Dad. School is nearly back in session. Is your child ready for the school year? Stop by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village and pick up all your child's stationery supplies. You won't need to break the bank to get your little one prepared for the school year. You have enough to worry about. Make back to school a breeze with Savannah Pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336. Savannah Pharmacy supports your education in our small community. That's why the first 20 customers will receive a free fully stocked school bag. Savannah Pharmacy. We love our community.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million.
Alrighty, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra, and we're sitting here with Cayman Golf Association president, coach, and player, and we're going to talk about what's next. What's coming up next for Cayman Golf?
Yeah, so I suppose what's next in terms of tournaments that from an international perspective that we'll send players to. There's the Caribbean 4-Ball Championship, which is in Trinidad this year. Well, actually, it's in Tobago.
Nice.
Yeah, well, nice, but it's a difficult trip to get to. So we've only got one team going to that.
Okay.
And then after that, the next international event would be the Latin American Amateur in Argentina. So Invites for that are based on World Amateur Golf Ranking position. So we are hoping that we will get certainly 3, maybe 4 invites this year. So that's in January in Buenos Aires.
Is that individual ranking or?
That's individual ranking.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I can add,
ahead.
locally we have a couple. The season is kind of wrapping up. We have the Grant Thornton Summer Series, which is a series that's been running since July.
Yes.
We have the final event coming up at the end of September, and then the final. The WAGA is what we call them, the World Amateur Golf Ranking events. The final one of the year is the Grant Thornton Fall Classic, which will be on the long weekend in November.
Okay, that sounds good. And Coach, what's up? What's next for you?
Well, it's an onward journey. We've just got to. Some of our better players, as the president said, will eventually fly the nest. So we've got to bring youngsters through, and everyone else is. All the other countries are doing the same thing. So we just got to make sure that our guys and girls coming through are ready.
Where do you recruit the boys and girls from? Schools around Cayman? Or?
Well, some, but
okay.
yeah, obviously they generally, if you're really into golf, as a lot of people are, they tend to go to the golf clubs where we are, and then and everyone's all the coaches at the clubs as well are trying their best to see future potential and hopefully work with them and make them better.
Is there golf in the schools?
I don't believe there's an awful lot.
Okay.
It is something that, as an association, we are trying to do, and with the help of the RNA, we'll hopefully try and get some sort of equipment that will aid us with that.
Okay.
That's a sort of a long-term plan, a long-term goal that we would have, and again, that will certainly help to try and find the next generation of talent.
Yeah, the next Tiger Woods, you never know.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you think it will be the kids would gravitate to golf in the schools? Do you think the sport will be something that they'd be attracted to? I know, and I ask because I know they play cricket, basketball, football, usually team sports. So the individual sports
tremendous
tend to get
athletes,
the backseat.
tremendous athletes.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
While golf kind of has a bit of I would say, almost a reputation of, an older person's sport.
Yeah.
It's not that anymore. And the guys and girls who are playing golf these days are, very fit and strong athletes. There's, if you look at the professional game these days, there's an awful lot of money in it. If you're able to get to that level.
And Aaron Shore opened the doors for a lot of people to pique their interest, at least, at the sport, the young ones.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he was so amazing. So anything left? Anything you would like to make mention of that I may have forgotten to ask you before we head out?
No, I don't think so.
Did we touch on everything?
I think so, pretty much. Just I suppose in terms of what we're trying to do as an association. It's a completely volunteer association. As Giles mentioned earlier, we're. He's a professional, but he's a professional accountant.
Yes.
And that's the same as me. I'm a professional accountant as well. We're always trying to kind of keep pushing on with the game. We're all tremendously interested in it, and we've seen the benefits that it can do. To put Cayman just on the map as well, and everything that we can do to try and help with that, we'll certainly be trying. And
I keep mentioning Erin, but Holly McLean has done really well. She's done fantastic as well. I'm always reading about Holly in the news, so I'm happy to call her name as well because she's really excelled in the sports. What's next for Holly? Where is she now? What is she doing?
So Holly is in university in the US in Oklahoma. So she's starting her second year this year. So last year, first year, I think she did pretty well in terms of some of the tournaments that she competed in. Okay. A real good kind of learning curve for her. And then this year now will be another year to kind of hopefully further kick on for her.
And Aaron, what is he doing? What is he up to?
So he's in his final year at university. He's at SMU. Okay. And again, he's hit highs in terms of winning the Latin American.
Yes.
And hopefully he can kind of find that form again and continue on, and let's see where he goes.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's very nice to have you on the show and sharing. I very rarely have golf on, so I'm really happy because you're the most difficult people to get a hold of. I tell you, you're always busy, or you're off island, you're touring, you're doing training the kids at a certain time when I have my show. So it's nice that I can finally get a hold of you guys. And hopefully this is not the last. And I would love to get some athletes on as well. That'd be great.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, apart from yourself.
No, the real athletes.
That's funny. All right. Well, that's it for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. If you would like the opportunity to be a part of our show, please feel free to email me at sportsextrakman@gmail.com. A special thank you tonight to our sponsor, Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Village. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And, of course, thank you to Miss Cayman Islands, Ilian Pori, former Miss Cayman Islands, I should say, Ilian Pori, for stopping by. She enlightened us with her, her vision for the future and the challenges she's faced and her experience during her journey, and that was really great. I'm Dionne Anglin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good night, and God bless.
Sports Extra, brought to you by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Sports Extra. From 7 to 8 p.m., highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
It's amazing.
Little Cayman, Bragg.